and United Faculty of Florida. And it's March 21, 2022. Negotiations between the college and the United Faculty of Florida. We're meeting today. I know we still have our initial contract still kind of tied up in the litigation, but we're continuing to move forward and trying to bargain. The union made a request last month to meet and start talking about some issues, primarily compensation and updating the MOU that we had before on the department chairs and program directors for the upcoming academic year. We did receive a couple of proposals from the union in that regard. Gary and Caitlin, I don't know who's going to take the lead on your side, but I thought what we could do this morning, unless you had other ideas, was to turn it over to union to kind of walk us through the proposals from the union. And I don't know if you can share your screen. It probably would help to do that. If you need me to do it, I can put them up.
Let me try, Brian. I'll see if I can get the chair proposal up here.
All right.
And Brian, this is Brian Horn. I had also added some information to the spreadsheet that Caitlin and Gary had sent. Emailed it to you guys earlier.
Emailed that this morning, Brian? Okay, I see.
Yeah, probably about 5 minutes ago, I emailed it to the group that it was originally sent to, Caitlin, Gary, and so forth. And I just, and I need to let you know too, I have to step out at 11 o'clock. I have a foundation executive board meeting. So I'll have to step out for a while. If you go beyond that, I'll come back as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's fine. I have a hard stop. I should note too at noon today for another meeting at that time. So, but why don't we move forward? Gary, you able to share your screen?
Can everybody see that? I put it up.
Yeah, I see it.
All right.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
All right, good. So I'm going to start out today, and then I'm going to turn it over to Caitlin to talk about the salaries. So as far as the proposal for the chairs and the program directors, basically what we did is we took the structure from last year's MOU and made a couple changes. Removed section 8, which was the one-time stipend for last year. And so what we did is we took that out, and the basic thing that we did here is we're asking for a increase in the stipends for department chairs to $8,000 annually. Let me find the other ones here. We're asking for increase program directors to $6,000 or something. Program directors in workforce development, career and technical education. If I got my glasses on, I would have seen that. 7,000. The program directors in nursing is 6,000. So basically, it's the same MOU as last year. We removed section 8 and we've increased the stipends. And here's the justification for the stipend increases. I've talked to a lot of the chairs and a lot of the program directors in the last couple of years. And what I'm hearing is that more and more work is being put on them. And they're feeling that the workload is not commensurate with the salary. And we're going to get to the point where we're going to have a harder time finding and retaining chairs and program directors at the current level that are being paid. And part of this is a big picture item. Cost of living's increased. We're, inflationary times, and you're asking people to do more, but you're still paying them at a lower salary. And I know we did bump it up slightly, I think last year, but it's still, for a lot of people, especially in the sciences and English, there's a lot of work that's involved in the program director and chair positions. And so we really feel that the college would be benefited by keeping and retaining quality chairs by increasing the stipend a little more than it has been in the past year. So that's really our justification.
Okay. from the union's perspective is for the duties and responsibilities currently being done, are you proposing any changes to that, or is it really more of the, just really with the stipend amounts?
Really, what I've been hearing from our chairs and program directors is the stipend would help them a lot. And so that's really what we propose to change.
From administration side, do we have any questions for Gary on those issues? All right, I think we'll need to obviously discuss that on a caucus. But if you guys want to go forward and put up your
Okay.
other proposal, we can do that.
Okay, let me put the spreadsheet. I was not on the committee.
Gary,
but-
Gary, I'll do the spreadsheet.
Oh,
so
you
I
got it?
can-
Okay.
Yeah, that
All right.
way I can.
Okay, I'll
scroll
take it
and
down.
everything. Okay.
I was not on the original committee that talked to Brian and Darrell and started working on this proposal. So I'm going to turn it over to Caitlin Guiley because she was on that committee and she knows it in and out what we're proposing. So I'd rather her do it than me mess it up. So Caitlin, you want to go ahead?
Sure. I have a statement first and then I'll go into the spreadsheet. We have done a great job investing in the physical structure of our college, but we have to turn our attention to our most valuable asset, our people. A college is not buildings, a college is people. We started off as a college without walls, and while we have grown in the last 50 years, PHSC is still our students, faculty, staff, and administrators, not our walls. Students attend a college because of the human interaction, because of diverse learning experiences, because they can grow as people and make new friends. They don't attend a college because it has nice buildings. Faculty are at a breaking point. Faculty are resigning for better paying jobs elsewhere. They're retiring because they have no hope of earning more. Faculty that have stayed are feeling unappreciated. Inflation is high. Housing and gas prices are skyrocketing. With inflation at 8%, we are asking that all faculty receive a minimum 7% raise. Faculty should be rewarded for professional development and their commitment to our college. Therefore, faculty should receive increased raises based on degree grade and longevity. Governor Ron DeSantis recently announced that K-12 teachers in Florida will earn a minimum of $47,500 a year. College faculty work hard to earn degrees and credentials, and they deserve fair compensation. If we want to attract and retain dedicated faculty, we must pay them at least $48,000 a year. It is time for PHSC to invest in human capital. If we don't, we will just be empty buildings. So I can share our proposal. Okay, so you want to focus on sheet 3. There's another sheet in here that you can ignore. So let me go to the, can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay, so this is our percent scale increase. So F3 means a bachelor's degree. F2 is a master's degree. F2 15 is a master's plus 15 graduate credits. F2 30 is a master's degree with 30 graduate credits, and F1 is a PhD. So the minimum salary increase we're proposing is 7%. And then for each 5 years of service to the college, years at the college, not necessarily years credited prior to being at the college, you earn an additional 0.25% raise. Then for each salary pay grade, there's also an additional 0.25% raise, with the maximum raise being 10.25% for someone who with a PhD who has been here for at least 25 years. This is the max salaries from the college. And so here, this one is sorted by years of experience. So Juan Bourbano has been here 40 years and he's maxed out at $93,000. So this is sorted by years of experience. Well, we can also sort by, hold on, table raise. So everyone will get at least $48,000 under our proposal. So some people might have a much bigger pay increase. For if they're making $39,000, it's almost a 25% pay increase. And then after that, it'll be their regular salary plus their table raise, and down to that. So we know that the administration gave the staff a 4% raise plus some additional percentages for years of experience at the college. This is the current cost of the salary of all of our faculty. This is what a 4% raise would cost, which is an additional $282,000. This is what we're proposing, which is an additional $654,000, which is at $372,000 more than the 4% increase. And then as Brian pointed out, there are additional costs for FICA and the retirement system. So the $775,000 is the total cost for this year's 2021 to 22 raises. And any questions?
I don't have any questions offhand, Brian, or anybody else. I don't know if you had questions. We haven't had a chance to kind of dive into it.
Yeah, I sent it
Yeah.
last night. We've been working on it.
Yeah, just Caitlin, the one spreadsheet I sent you, if we pull up that, I added a few additional,
Sure.
just as a few kind of questions for you guys.
Yeah. Oops, this is the wrong one. Hold on. That one, let me share the screen again. So yeah, I wasn't quite sure the changes you had made. So maybe if you want to share your screen, you can explain them. Otherwise you can just
All right, well, first click on the tab that says scale.
scale. Okay,
Just want to look at that first, because
sure.
so this is kind of what you guys are proposing here. The salary schedule, again, minimum is currently for the grade 3 is a 36,572, so forth, going up. So you're requesting it to be the 44, 46, 50, 52, correct?
No, we're saying there's a base of, oh, I guess, yeah, it would be the same. What you're proposing, I think so. But anybody that ends up being at 44 would just be bumped up to 48, whatever
Alright,
they are.
So this was your intent, though, to set
No,
minimum scale
not
there or not?
no, not exactly. So let me share my other one. So we don't have years of experience credited prior to being at the college. So we're not on a scale right now. We're not on a step system because you might have 5 years of experience, but if you were credited with 8 when you started, you actually should have 13 years of credited service. But it's not consistent, partly because we've had different raises different years and no raises for many years. So we're trying to kind of fix that by every 5 years you get essentially a longevity increase and you get bigger increases for the current year based on your degree grade. So
Right,
it's not, yeah.
Yeah, I think I understand that. The question I just want to confirm, though, is are you recommending any change to the beginning salary grades?
We're starting out at a different point. So we did not calculate it that way because it's just not, it's calculated differently. If we go into the next salary negotiations, we would like to request the number of years credited at service so we can get everyone on a clear scale.
So
But
if
we
we go
can't
back
do
to
that
that,
at this point.
so if we go back to their other spreadsheet
Okay,
with the scale on it.
this one.
Yeah. So
Okay.
then you create possible issues. Again, I have to kind of refer to Darrell a little bit too. If you leave the scale 36,572, but we put everybody to 48, then anybody coming in again would go under the criteria 36,000.
Oh, okay. I see what you're
Up to
saying.
8 years. So then you're not setting you're setting a lower level for people coming in than what you're trying to equate to people right now.
Okay,
So I
then we'll need
wasn't
to,
sure- So I wasn't sure because G was, I think, your original column, which you didn't have a header on, but it looked like to me, I called it new men because I thought that's what you were getting to.
let me find G.
column G, Newman. No, I'm sorry, column G. Yeah, you didn't, yeah, did you have,
There was this sheet.
one of the
you
tabs
should
you had a
ignore.
scale.
Okay,
Oh,
go
yeah,
ahead.
go to sheet one, I think. One of the ones
Sheet
you had.
one. Oh, this was something
Column
I
G.
was, yeah, this is, you should ignore this tab as well. I should have taken these out. This was just
right.
something I was experimenting with.
All right, so then if you go back to my spreadsheet for a minute,
Mm-hmm. Nope. Yeah. Okay,
go to final detail summary, the last tab.
okay,
So then I sorted here by grade and by dollar amount. So if you want to scroll over, okay, there, it's good. Keep it so go a little bit further right, I'm sorry.
here,
You see, yeah, F3, we have a bunch of people in F3.
Yep.
I originally was thinking your minimum range, you saying you wanted 44, so ignore that column.
okay. This one,
But then if you put everybody to 48, and then I sorted that one by grade and then by years of experience.
okay,
And then somebody who's got 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, whatever, they're all still gonna be at the 48. And is that the intent? Or at some point, would you just want them to be to a minimum point and then also include the 0.25 that you're saying for years of experience? Because otherwise, somebody who's been here 3 or 5 years would make the same amount as somebody who was there 0, just started.
yes. Yeah, I think we just want to have a minimum. If you're at PHSC, you make $48,000 a year. And then as we progress through the years, we can adjust the scale after this year. But at this point, I think everyone should make 48,000 because that's what K-12 teachers are making, and we're competing with that job market.
Now, again, though, if we agree to that and we put everybody at 48, somebody leaves and then a new person comes in to be hired, then they're based on the salary schedule, which is could be the 36,000 plus 8 years experience, and they don't get to 48.
Right. So we would propose moving forward that you just start at 48. And if your scale ends up over 48, you would get that additional pay. Based on, we could negotiate the scale later. So if we want, I would like to negotiate again for the 22-23 fiscal year, but not today. So we can redo, work on the scale at that point. But for the 21-22 fiscal year, I would like to bring everyone up to 48,000.
I guess I'll throw Darrell in the mix there. Do you see any concern with that, Darrell?
No, I think it deserves some additional discussion. I definitely I have to look at some of the nuances that are occurring on the K-12 side of the house, but if that is the case, then it is a fair argument because they typically do a 9-month contract as well. I think really what you want to do is make sure that we're comparing, apples to apples. So I have to dig a little bit more into what is occurring on the K-12 side. But to that point, because most K-12 contracts are 9-month contracts, then we can definitely kind of like look at the data and try to see what we could do to match on that. But it deserves additional discussion. At this point, I don't have much to do. I mean, you are, to Brian's point, you are going to be looking at some issues where, as it relates to once you move to that scale, and if that's the new baseline, then what is the total? And Brian will have to come up with the numbers, and obviously we'll negotiate. But what's the total impact that it'll have on a college with the overall increases, to include benefits, FRS, et cetera, as well as the increases that come with FRS typically on an annual basis. But we can hash through some of those details right now. I think really what we need to do is figure out what are the details on the K-12 side with the new minimums or what have you. How was that occurring? And obviously making sure that it lines up with appropriations and what we have here at PHSC.
Sure. So that $47,500 was just announced. So I can send you the Tampa Bay Times article that describes that.
And then Darrell, technically, we won't be hiring any more full-time faculty in the current year, or would there be circumstances to finish the semester you'd be hiring anybody?
No, so right now we wouldn't be hiring any faculty members typically because you're already within a year. Most of the classes have already made. So really the only faculty members that would be hiring would be individuals that essentially you're hiring them for the fall term. Or, you wouldn't hire any, with our existing structure, we wouldn't hire any faculty members for summer term because they would just come on as adjuncts if they are coming on, then obviously transition to their first year contract in the fall. So I don't think it should impact anybody, any newly hired faculty members, because we typically wouldn't hire anybody right now.
So if we solicit though, and we find somebody and we want to make an offer to them for the fall,
That would then-
until you negotiate a new scale and say they come in at grade 3 at the 36,572 and only have like a year or two experience, doesn't get to the 48, then would that make it difficult saying we would want to put them to 48?
I don't know.
I would propose that we renegotiate next month, basically. The budget from the college or the budget from the state is out. So I would like to negotiate the scale and raises and so on. Once we finish this month, then next month we could renegotiate or open up negotiations for the following year going forward.
So Caitlin,
I'm just concerned, is there
oh,
any timing difference, Darrell, though, that we
yes, that's what I was
advertising
gonna,
now, when you go to say, this is what I
Sure.
want to pay you, you have to base it on this scale, not the 48, and that's gonna,
that would be the one challenge that we'll have is, I know that the deans are already, they're going to be
Okay.
working on that already. They're trying to start hiring for the fall term.
Okay.
So if we don't have anything in place, then essentially you have to use what you have in place to make an offer.
Mhm.
But ideally speaking, it would be better to have that information already hashed out so that once we make offers, I would hate to send an offer out to someone on behalf of Dr. Baird and then all of a sudden have to go back and even if it's going up, it's still it can be confusing
Okay.
by having one offer go out and then send another offer out. And but we can navigate that timeline as well.
Okay.
Just so I'm clear on it too, so the proposal from the union for compensation that you're presenting is for this year. Are we proposing an effective date, retroactive date? I assume-
Yes. So I guess, I'm not sure what you did for the staff, but I would propose it would be anyone, I guess, anyone who was hired for the fall semester would get, well, I'm not sure how you guys do it. So if you guys want to figure out where the effective dates would be, that's fine. So that it would be, people that were hired in January wouldn't get $48,000 necessarily.
yeah, we'd basically retro to the existing contract in the current
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, okay.
So I guess what Darrell and I are just saying, maybe you want to consider that we look at the scale,
Today or
Yeah.
next month?
as part of what we're doing this,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
maybe look at the scale as part of what we're doing this year, otherwise it could cause problems for recruiting for next year.
Okay, or yeah, I would be okay, and if we just want to get the current fiscal year done today, because I know we're under a time limit, time crunch. I think we could just propose, even if it's next week or something, another bargaining session to address the scale for moving forward. Is
Yeah,
that
on the
agreeable?
No, I think so.
I don't know if we're gonna have a conclusion today, because we still need to work some numbers, because it's a lot higher than what was originally.
Okay.
I think we
budgeted
can have,
for a minute.
I think we can have at least some discussions today, but I do want to, I think there's other things that need to happen afterwards. And it can happen very quickly because, obviously we're up against a timeline to try to make all of this happen. And ideally for me, I'm going to speak primarily just from the HR standpoint. It would be ideal to have the faculty side hashed out and agreed upon at the same time that we're doing the employees, because having to go back and do both is there's a substantial amount of work that has to happen to make that happen for every individual employee, because it's not some things you could do uploads to, and then other things have to be done manually in the system. So there's a lot behind the scenes that go on within our new system that
Sure.
I don't know, Caitlin, you and I, you've been on some emails already about how challenging some of these items are. So is that if we can be on the same page and try to have this follow the same timeline and have it agreed upon, that would be the ideal situation here.
And what is the timeline for the staff raises?
We are looking at going into next month. Like, we're already starting to do some of the testing. So I'm in our sandbox environment, trying to see how all of this will look, to make sure that we don't have any rejections, to see how, if there's a way to make it more simplistic. Right now my timetable is going into next month, having
Okay.
at least a large portion of this identified in the system, and then seeing if we could do this in concert. Some of it is manual, and then another portion of it can be done via uploads. But right now I'm looking at next month to try to start doing a lot of this. So we're finalizing some minor details on the updated classification plan. And again, having all of that pushed through, we're pushing the classification plan, the finalized version, to the board next month.
Okay.
They already got the agreed upon scale that we proposed last month. So the goal would be to have the classification plan presented. And during that, once that's done, then we're essentially trying to implement all of this in rapid succession. So,
Okay, can you remind me what the next Board of Trustees, the April trustees meeting is?
it is the
19th.
19th,
Okay, April
4/19.
So one question too for Caitlin, though. I think it
Yeah.
would be an advantage to actually see what you potentially would be proposing for the new year also. I mean, are you looking at that point, just a percentage increase or something to scales again? I mean, just to have a better idea of how we can, fit this into
Sure.
this year and next year.
I would like to have, I'm going to do a or a public records request for everyone's personnel file to find out what number of years they were accredited, when they were hired, and then have an appropriate scale adjustment to each individual so that they are on a consistent grid. And if they're above that, they would just keep their current salary that we negotiated this year. But if we need to adjust it further, that's what I would propose for the 22-23 year.
Yeah.
And I understand that you'll have to go through the paper records, but it
I
is
know-
a public record.
Well, I know the file that I had, the Excel file for current employees, for all of them, I have the higher date as I had in the spreadsheet I provided you.
Right,
And I think I was able on some of them to go back and determine based on the rate, because there wasn't raises for a couple of years, people that were hired like in the last 2-3 years, how many years credit they were given.
right. But if they've been here
The other
15
people would have to
years,
manually go through the
Yes.
files and draw. I'm not sure how consistent, where the files were put up all electronic, weren't they now?
Yeah, the one part that isn't captured within the system is what is awarded to faculty members at hire. That part isn't, there's no field in the system that says that you granted 6 years or 8 years to a faculty member. So that part would be a manual process. We have to go through every single file and see if we can gather that.
yeah, we discussed this in the compensation MOU working group.
Yes, that was a
so-
while back. Yeah.
Yeah, so we will do a public records request for that information, and we understand that you'll have to go to paper files. And if there is a cost associated, the union will pay for that.
But I think Vivian a few years back had converted all the files electronically. We saved them on Image One.
No, so when you say electronic, you're talking about the depository, and that's just
Yeah,
having to scan.
repository, yeah, repository.
Yeah, but that's still it's just as well. It's the same thing as going into an actual file. You have to do it one employee at a time. It can't be extrapolated from the system because it doesn't have like a separate designation or anything of that nature. So it's just like flipping files as that's electronic. Instead of having a physical folder in front of me, I will be logging into the depository to actually go through every sheet of a document that's scanned to the file to locate that item, and then obviously document it accordingly, and then move on to the next person.
Right, I mean, there's probably only 100 faculty or so, I mean, it's not gonna take hours and hours. So, and
It did-
regardless, the union will pay for any associated costs.
Gotcha.
So again, I mean, when you're looking at things in the future, you're still tying it to years of experience trying to equate things as to how you get
Yes.
the raises, but then are you focused on the scale at any point? And
Yes.
are you guys happy with the scale structure the way it is based on degree structure and the levels? I mean,
We're gonna have to discuss that. We only got the spreadsheet with all the salaries on Monday, this previous Monday, a week ago, so because of some confusions. So we haven't had the discussion really on the scale. We just discussed the raises for this year.
and I'm not bringing it up trying to represent Dr. Gene, his area. I'm just trying to get a feel for what you guys are looking at.
Right. Yeah, I
We
understand.
can have a better understanding to discuss with Dr. Gene and his group.
The short answer is we haven't talked about that yet.
What is your guys' thought on high demand areas? Nursing,
We
the other areas.
did do, we did a compensation survey and there wasn't a clear mandate for high demand stipends, so we're not proposing that.
I don't know if Dr. Jeanette or anybody else would want to weigh in on that, or that's other discussions we want to have alone.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. Good morning, everyone. That was a consideration the college had discussed, given the paucity of faculty members' availability in key areas, particularly health and IT. And in order for us to maintain that level of competitiveness, that's something that we are reasonably discussing about that salary differential for key areas. So I appreciate your perspective, but the union has no appetite for that. You want essentially a straightforward salary review. But for us, it's still something under review because, of course, it's obviously affecting programs, it's affecting students, it's affecting the ability to maintain, hire the appropriate faculty, especially given this competitive climate that we're under.
I mean, if the college proposes that, we can discuss it. We're not opposed to it. It's just not something we put in our proposal.
Thank you, understood.
Mhm.
All right, if there's nothing else on discussion wise on that, maybe we take a caucus. Now it seems like that would be a good use of time. It's 9:35.
Sure. For faculty, if you check your college email, you want to go to the personal meeting room for United Faculty of Florida, and we will be there in a moment. So it should be in your college email.
I suspect there'll be a lot of discussion on our side. I don't know what we have for, since Brian's got to leave at 11. Maybe we shoot for about 10:20 or so, and
Sure.
Caitlin or Gary can email me if you need more time, or I'll do the same. For the
That's fine with me.
administration side, you should have the call-in numbers. Pam circulated, I believe. So we can go to caucus now, and we'll be back
Okay,
at
we'll
10:20.
see you at 10:20.
10:20. Thank you.